Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we're just going to do a little short video because I wanted to address something that I've seen a lot of over the last, I want to say 24, 48 hours, close to now. With all the announcements from AdeptiCon, all the quality, amazing, awesome announcements, there has been an unexpected source of buzz and anticipation and hype and general excitement, which, much though I don't like doing this, I feel might be almost entirely unwarranted. So there was, in the AdeptiCon announcement thing and on the Warhammer community site, a little snippet from White Dwarf, which we can see here. And it is the battle report for Last Stand at Glazer's Creek 2. And, you know, on the face of it, it's kind of hard to make out. Like, I've had to zoom in a bit here because it's a low-res image. But people got very, very excited, and this is all over the place, right? I know Valrax talked about it. It's shown up on Bell of Lost Souls. There's been about 8 million Reddit threads in various places. I've seen it on a couple of forums and stuff. And the source of excitement comes from this over here, which, I mean, by the look of it, is some sort of massive Ork war machine, which sounds quality when you phrase it like that. Unfortunately, I think everybody might be jumping the gun to some extreme degree. And I think that for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I would say that the silhouette for that is not entirely unique. And I would also say that I think a few people are getting conned by the perspective of this thing. Because the way that this photo is shot and the way that it's been set up, it kind of, I mean, it looks big. Like, it looks pretty big from this angle. But I don't think that's because it's actually that big. I think it's because it is placed behind fairly significantly sized terrain and you have a lot of smaller models in the foreground. Because that, as soon as I started seeing all this stuff pop up, I was looking at this going, that looks familiar, and I can't work out where from. All I know is that it doesn't look quite, I mean, we'll zoom in a bit, we'll do the whole enhance thing. It doesn't, it seems new, but at the same time, there's just something about the shape of that, and I can't work out what it is that is familiar. And the way it's bulked out at the front confused me, and I wasn't, you know, I was like, that seems like something I've seen before, but I can't work out where. And then someone, as often happens in these situations, used the word, the name of the model that it looked vaguely familiar to, that the silhouette matched, and I was like, oh yeah, it does look exactly like that. I don't think that's a new model. I don't think that's a new Ork model at all. I don't think it's some sort of massive Ork war machine or like some sort of massive kind of whatever it is, Gorka Morka style thing. I'm pretty sure that's just a looted Dreadknight. Like, if you look at it, if you think about the silhouette of a Dreadknight and the kind of height and the scale and the way, especially when you like attach extra stuff to it, it might bulk out at the front. That to me looks less like a brand new Ork war machine and more like a conversion when you kind of think about the placement of the legs and the general structure of it. The height of it will kind of match up. This is where the perspective thing comes in, I think, because, you know, we've had to zoom in quite a bit into this to actually get a proper look at it, and I say a proper look, you can't really get a proper look at it because it's blurring out of focus and it's in the back of a photo, which is a picture of a magazine, so it's like, you're not going to get a huge amount of detail, but the scale of it, I don't think is anywhere near what people are thinking. I don't think it's like a massive model. Now, the Dreadknight isn't small, but it's also not some sort of gargantuan walker either. If you look at the, whatever they're called, is it the Ministorum Department containers, whatever the hell those are, the shipping crates, as I just call them, I don't think it stood behind them on some sort of racing. I think it's just stood on one of those crates. Maybe there's one behind that. I mean, there's like a faint blur there. It could well be that is what that is, and you know, as you get a bit closer to it, if you go all CSI on it, the more you zoom in, it's the same kind of shape and stature as a Dreadknight, but it's just had a load of stuff stuck on it. Now, I've seen a few people also like debunk that argument, saying, well, why would they put a conversion in a official battle report? And to that I'd say, well, the answer to that is right in front of you. Look at this battle report. This is Imperial Guard versus Orcs. Now, if you can show me where you can buy those Imperial Guard models, I'll be immensely impressed, because you can't. Because those are conversions. Those are Ventrilian Dragoons. There is no official model for Ventrilian Dragoons. Those are, in fact, all conversions. It is a converted Imperial Guard army versus Orcs. And if you're allowing an entire other army to be almost completely converted, which this is, it would be kind of daft to then say, well, you can't have converted models in Orc armies, especially when there's a couple of things that model there, that Orc model, if we zoom in again, there's a couple of things that this thing could be, conceivably. You know, Orcs have got access to a couple of mechs, so it is not beyond the realm of possibility that they could be using it as like a not a Death Dread, the big one. Is it the Mega Dread? I can't remember the name of it, but you know, one of the big Forge World efforts. I mean, if it's a similar size and you can bulk it out to be a similar shape and give it the right loadout, you could absolutely run like a looted Dreadknight as one of those models. In fact, it's an Orc army. I'd be disappointed if someone hadn't. There's also the fact that you can compare it to other similar conversions. So these are a couple of things that I found on Google. What I'll do is I'll go back and I'll try and find the sources for them, so I can credit them directly in the description. But I mean, that's one example. Obviously, it's kind of hard to tell. Okay, with this one here being so out of focus, being so far away, it's you know, you can only get an idea of the silhouette. But when you look at that, and then you look at something like that, that is obviously not as bulky. It's not as, you know, the pose is different, but the silhouette is kind of the same. It's same with that. It's got a similar long-armed thing to it. Much though it would be class, much though it would be awesome if Orcs got a brand new mech-style model, I don't think this is it. I really don't think this is what this is. I think it's just a very well done conversion. I also, in the back of my head, I am 99% sure I've seen something similar to that. A blue Orc Walker in another White Dwarf, but I cannot for the life of me work out how long ago or what issue it was. I've got no idea. All I know is that I recognised the silhouette. It seemed really familiar. As soon as someone said the word Dreadknight, it was like, oh, that is kind of what that looks like. I really feel like there's a White Dwarf somewhere. It might not have even... Was it this year? I don't know. I feel like we've seen this before. I don't think it's a new model. I don't think it's a brand new Orc Walker. I do not think that this is some sort of tease or you know, hidden reveal that Games Workshop are doing. I think it is a badass conversion, and I'm hoping that when that White Dwarf is released, we'll actually get better pictures of it, at which point we can also see whether it does match anything else that's come up. But I think getting excited about it, getting thrilled about the idea of a brand new Orc vehicle, I don't think that's the way to go. And there have been a few more kind of more outlandish theories of, you know, Prime Orc, Gazgul, and could this be... I really don't think it is. I really don't think it is. I'd be happy to be wrong, and to be honest, I quite like to be wrong, because, well, it's nice being wrong. I was wrong with when I said that we wouldn't see Plastic Sisters announced at AdeptiCon. I was totally wrong with that, and that was obviously a good thing. But this, I just don't see it. And, you know, the arguments of it being like, oh, well, you can't use conversions about... The whole Imperial Guard army is converted. You know, if ever you were going to do a battle report that showed off converted models, and I don't even know where that's come from. I've seen that repeated a couple of times, and I don't know why. I don't know where that attitude has come from, or where that kind of mistaken idea has come from. But yeah, I just don't see it. It'd be grand if it was true. It'd be awesome if it was. It could be the herald of something like, you know, more in-depth rules for looted vehicles, or it could just be a cool conversion that someone made and they are using as a proxy for another model, something that happens in this hobby all the time. I really think that this is a case of people reading too much into it. and I would really urge, if you are an Ork player, don't get too excited for this, because I honestly think you're going to end up being disappointed if you do. Especially since we just don't have any info on Orks anyway. It'd be a really weird time to do a little hint, to do a little spoiler. We've had announcements of Plastic Sisters, we've had a new knight, we've had we know the next 3 codexes are going to be. To just be like, oh, and here's a random Ork model. I get wanting to pack stuff into announcements. That doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, yeah, so much for this being a shorter video, but I don't think it's a brand new thing. I don't think it is going to be an available kit. I think it is a conversion. I think it's a looted Dreadknight conversion, probably proxying something else. I want to see more up close pictures of it, because if it is what I'm thinking of, then it was a badass conversion anyway. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear what you think though. I mean, I've seen a few people saying what I've just said, but there still seems to be a significant number of people who are like, yes, this is it, this is the thing, this is the new model. Be interested to hear what you think, so let me know in the comments below, as always, and I apologise if I've crushed any hopes and or dreams. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click any of the things in front of you. Videos, subscribe, Patreon, all of that shit. Click if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And I will see you for the next video where hopefully there'll be better news than this. Bye for now.